Thank you, Governor Herbert, for your support and leadership in the cause of moving air quality forward. You know, air quality is not just a job for me. It's personal. A year ago, in fact, last February exactly, I got sick. I got really sick. In fact, I got pneumonia. And when we look back during the course of my care and treatment, we realized that the day I got pneumonia was the worst air quality day of the year. And as my lungs deteriorated and as I struggled to recover, I was diagnosed again then with asthma. And that's changed my life, and not for the better. You see, now I have to do things differently. And it's not fun, it's not great. But truthfully, my story's not unique, which is why when we were putting together our campaign this year, we decided to tell true stories, real stories. Tell the story of real Utahns who struggle with their health related to air quality. Brad McFarland, he's a first responder who struggles with his asthma when the lid goes on, as we refer to the inversion. Dr. Liz Joy tells us the stories of people who come to her clinic and struggle, especially on inversion days, bad air quality days. Both Brad and Liz are here with us tonight, and we appreciate them allowing us to tell their stories to the general public. But it's safe to say that we all know someone whose health is affected by the bad air quality. But what can we do? What can we do? Well, I want to tell you a story. And Bill Walton's a big cyclist, we know this, and so I want to tell the story because I think he'll like it. And you can tell by my physique that I'm very indoorsy, so it really doesn't affect me. Thanks for laughing at that. I don't know. Everybody think I'm fat? A little hurtful, guys. I'm new. Anyway, in 2010, the British national cycling team, they were in a mess, right? No British cyclist had won the Tour de France. They were directionless. So they went and they hired a new coach. His name is David Brailsford. And he evaluated what was going on, and he realized that they couldn't do what some of the other teams were doing, steroids, excuse me, just had to clear my throat. And he wanted to get their team to a place where they could win. So he introduced them to a principle called the aggregation of marginal gains. And the principle is this: if you make small 1% changes across the board in many different aspects and areas, then you can and aggregate those small changes together, then you've made big changes. And he believed that if they made small 1% changes, then they'd be able to win the Tour de France in 5 years, by 2014. So he went to work, and he started with low-hanging fruit. They made changes in the way that they trained, 1% changes. They made 1% changes in their nutrition. They made 1% changes in their equipment. And then he dug a little deeper, and he made a 1% change. He said, you know, maybe we could use better soap. So they found better antibacterial soap. And what about our massages? Maybe they could be better. Instead of getting all new massage teams, they just said, let's use a better massage oil. And what about sleep? Should we completely revamp the way we're sleeping, or what about a small 1% change? So they went and found better pillows. And they would travel with them, so they wouldn't have to use crummy pillows when they were in hotels. We all know what that's like, right? And they were just these small incremental changes. They believed they could get to a place where they could win the Tour de France. One of their guys would win the Tour de France in 5 years. Well, the first British cyclist won the Tour de France in 2012. 3 years into their program, 2 years ahead of schedule. Later that summer, 60% of all cycling gold medals were won by the British. And the next year, a different British cyclist won the Tour de France. So, how does that relate? Why do I tell you this story? How does that relate to my asthma or Brad's asthma or the patients that Liz sees? It's very simple, right? 1% changes across the board. 1% behavioral changes. 1% changes related to what we do in our air quality, in our life, aggregated together, makes big change. If each of us decides tonight to do something different, each of us in this room, we will make significant changes across the board. And you've all heard these easy, simple, small changes. You've heard them from me, you've heard them from the governor, you've heard them from Ted, you've heard them in the media. So let's review them, right? Just a few. Ride transit, stop idling, reduce, eliminate cold starts, trip chain, carpool when it's time. Buy a car with the best smog rating you can afford. When it's time, buy a true smart home. In the winter, turn down your thermostat. Keep your home a little cooler. Just a side story. I went on TV in the middle of December, and I talked about turning down your thermostat, and I went out very strong for cuddling. I think that's a great way to stay warm. Thank you, Gwen. We had a great big laugh. It was a great situation. No kidding. 1 month later, after coming out strong for cuddling, I got engaged. So, thank you. I'm telling you, there are a number of good reasons to do the right thing. So we all know what we can do. But I'll tell you this, I am optimistic. I'm very optimistic. Look at yourselves. Look at this room. This room is filled past capacity. We are making a big difference. And it's not just your donations, which I am grateful for. Please don't think I am not very grateful for your donations. It's your effort. It's your desire to be a part of the solution, not sitting back and looking for perfect answers, for silver bullets. I'm sure you've heard me say this before, and I'll say it again. There are no perfect answers, but there are practical solutions. And in that vein of practical solutions, keeping that in mind, I want to tell you where UCAIR is today and where we are going. UCAIR has 3 foundations, what I call our pillars. The first one is education. We want each Utahn to know that they can take actions to be part of the solution. We partner with like-minded organizations, with industry, with businesses, with government, because we know that together we can have a larger collective impact. And then we provide grants. The money we raise tonight will go to our grants program that help turn innovative ideas into innovative solutions today, right now. When I took this job, I told the board I would go on a 100-day listening tour. And during those 100 days, I met with over 100 different organizations, businesses, like-minded advocacy groups, government entities, elected officials. And I asked them a simple question: what can UCAIR do for you? And very quickly, I came to understand better who UCAIR is, what UCAIR needs to do, and what our role can be. UCAIR stands at the pinnacle of the clean air conversation. Our role is to ensure that every Utah knows their role in making sure that Utah lives up to its potential as the best place to live, work, and play. Everyone is the problem, so everyone needs to be the solution. And I am pleased to report that we are making progress. For example, this fall, with the assistance of Chevron, Endeavor, and the Eccles Foundation, we launched the Show UCAIR Wood Stove Exchange. This program provides $1,000 vouchers to help exchange 80 wood stoves for clean burning gas appliances with approved vendors like our friends at Maple Mountain Fireplaces. Upon completion, 3.77 tons, or about 7,500 pounds of emissions, will be reduced in just the first year alone. The average life of a gas stove is 40 years, so over the lifetime of that stove, that is a reduction of 150.8 tons, or almost 300,000 pounds. December's Free Fair Friday was an outstanding showing of UCAIR's partners and the public coming together to take a stand or a seat on public transit to support cleaning our air. And looking to the future in transportation, we are well on our way to Tier 3 fuel being a reality in Utah. Tier 3 gasoline is projected to reduce vehicle emissions by 10%. The investment of Chevron, Endeavor, Silver Eagle, and other refineries are voluntary making here in Utah to help clear our air is monumental. However, we all know the full benefit of Tier 3 won't be felt until full fleet turnover, which some believe could take 10 to 15 years. To ensure we are maximizing our best opportunities in mobile sources, we must encourage people to drive clean cars now, hybrids, electric, and the best smog-rated vehicle they can afford. When it comes to economic growth, We recognize the relationship between air quality and economics, and we are working closely with the Salt Lake Chamber, EDC Utah, the World Trade Center, GoEd, and other organizations to ensure our clean air efforts to address Utah's challenges are recognized and acknowledged. And this year, through our UCAIR grants program, we have helped 10 organizations bring to reality their innovative products, services, and initiatives to improve the quality of our air. We are doing great work, but thanks. We are doing great work, but there is more to do. And so that is my request. That is my plea tonight. Enjoy this evening. Have fun. And when it's time to go home, whether you are driving or taking tracks, take a moment and think of one thing that you, your family, your company, your organization can do now. One change that you can make today. And if we all do that and aggregate it together, we are making big changes and winning a championship. Now is the time. We all hold within us great potential for excellence. So now is the time to stand a little taller, to rise a little higher, be a little better. Make a little extra effort with vigilance and hope, and we will succeed in this journey together. Thank you very much.